5, 4, 3, 2. Oops, not Hulu. Wrong app. 3, 2, 1. Hey, you're in the room.
Hey.
Hey, Joy.
How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the show. So, for those who do not know who Miss Joy is a actress. She's a model. She's a poet. She wrote a movie. She directed a movie.
Edited the movie.
You edited the movie too?
I did,
Okay.
I did.
Edited the movie. Political rights activist.
I try to be.
A mom.
Mm-hmm.
I should put that first.
Yeah.
And
A teacher.
what else do you do?
I do everything, Jamie.
Oh,
The question is, what do I not do?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Mm-hmm. I do everything.
You know what? I just realized something. I might not turn the cameras on. Hold on a second.
I see you. I see you. I see us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no. I had the cameras physically on,
But
but record wasn't engaged.
it's so strange.
I'm Mr. El Professional. But no, I did have him running. You made me nervous, girl. You threw me off my game.
I do that.
All right. Why do you do that?
It's my aura.
It's your aura?
Yeah.
Did we just get dive bombed? So periodically, guys, if you see us grab a fly swatter and you see us swatting at things, we're not having a ninja sword fight. We're literally killing a fly that's been eluding us for the last 3 days. Me and Dominic, I thought we had it last night, but I think its brother came back for revenge. But anyways, so you were in the Army.
Yes, I was.
How long were you in the Army for?
About 4 years.
Okay. So what was your MOS?
14 Echo.
Okay. So now for the people who do not know what a 14 Echo is, because I know Marine Corps MOS is, I do not know Army MOS is. What was a 14 Echo?
I worked with the Patriot missile system.
Okay.
Yeah, who blew things out of the sky.
Okay. So you're above my clearance. So how was it being a black woman in the Army?
It was interesting. Not only a black woman, but a young black woman who looked even younger. I looked like a 12-year-old playing dress up for Halloween. That's what I looked like in uniform. I was cute, but it was tough getting taken seriously. Number one, as a female. Number two, as a black female. Number three, as a very young black female. There we go.
I know.
His little cousin. But
Hit him with a Patriot.
But that definitely gave me good experience in learning how people view me, because you can't always see yourself. I mean, how you see yourself is totally different than how other people see you. But I got a really good lesson in that, and just how to respond accordingly, act accordingly, and just let my voice be heard.
So how do you let your voice be heard in that type of environment? Because I could never get my voice heard when I was in the Marine Corps.
Confidence behind everything I say. And if someone kind of is still condescending, I get very serious and I lay down the line. I said, look, do you realize who you're speaking to? I am serious. I am not a child. I'm an officer.
Oh, wait. You was an officer?
Yes.
Girl. I should have saluted you. My bad. I was a E3. I was a Lance Cooley.
No, but that's really it. I let them know how serious I was, and I'm not going to let you take me for a fool. Just like today, anytime people try to talk down to me, I let them know who they're speaking to. And usually when I open my mouth, people realize that she's not a kid. Yeah. She's okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Even now you look like you're 23.
I am.
Oh, okay.
I'm forever 23.
Well, if I would have said one, you said 4 for 1. I was like, that was a store, but that ruined that joke. I'm not always smooth, but when I am. So what made you join the Army in the first place?
Oh my goodness. The discipline and the structure.
Because you lacked it, or you loved being in it?
Loved being in it.
Okay.
I'm a Capricorn, so we like structure, planning, discipline. So, yeah, it just seemed the right path for me.
Okay. So tell me about this new project you're working on. Didn't you get into a film festival?
I did. First, it was the Cinema Sisters International Film Festival right here in Wilmington in March. That was the first festival that I got accepted to. And now the Charlotte Black Film Festival is screening my short film, Judging Eyes.
So you got two laurels now.
Yes.
Look at you, fancy
And I
pants.
got a couple special mentions too. So,
Okay. Look at you.
yeah, we're moving. But it's cool. Judging Eyes is a short film that I wrote based on a spoken word piece that I wrote a few years ago about a young prostitute and how she's treated based on how she looks. I have some experience with that. Not the prostitution, but being judged on
That's
how
a
I
whole
look.
other kind of show.
Yeah, another life. No, joking.
Sweet
Behave
Mother of
myself
Jesus.
Before I get myself in trouble.
Restraining orders.
But yeah, just and that's why it's called Judging Eyes, because of the way people look at her and they automatically assume things about her that they have no idea because they never speak to her. They don't know how she got to be in that lifestyle. Does she need help getting out? They don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very, very cool. And I'm very proud of the project because my friends came in and they helped me out. Ben Hart, he played the second lead role. He's a sex trafficker. Very, very good guy in person, but in the film, he's not a very nice guy. He's the villain.
Okay.
But yeah.
Oh, Trisha says hi. So
Hi.
I've got the chat going,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
she says you're very talented.
Thank you, Trisha.
Don't gas her up. I need her to stay focused. So, do you have any other projects that you're working on, or that you can talk to us about?
I'm working on another script. It's probably going to be for a short film, but who knows? I I have to laugh at myself because I think that I really don't have a lot to say, but when I get going, I obviously do.
Wait, did you, as a poet, say you don't have a lot to
I
say,
don't have a lot to say.
and you already have a book in the works?
And I have 2 books in the works, yes. Have to put the finishing touches on them before I send them out for publication, yes.
Okay. How's that not a lot to say?
I have a lot to write.
You do. Carpal tunnel. So, an article got written about you the other day, right? Mm-hmm. And you said you wanted to talk about that, about some not so factual things.
Yes. Just and I'm gonna let them know right after we finish this interview. But
Lily, if you're around, come on into the studio. You can jump on this.
yes, Lily Nicole is awesome,
Yeah.
and I mentioned her in the article too. That's a powerhouse right
Yeah.
there. I love her.
Yeah, I've
But
known
yeah,
Lily since Coastal Kicks.
In Encore magazine, I have an article published, and everything is fine. The article is fine. It's just under the caption of one of my photos, it says that I was at the protest on May 31st, the one that kind of went out of hand. But I wasn't. So we're going to make that correction. Everything that I say is based off of the live feeds that I was watching, that my friends were broadcasting, and then also the live news broadcast. So that's where my experience comes from with that.
Okay. And they made it sound like you were there.
That I was physically there. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't want that misconception.
No, yeah, because people will call you out on it like it's your fault.
Exactly. And I don't want to ever come off that way. I am who I am. I don't lie. If the truth hurts, it hurts. Even, I'm not going to lie, good or bad.
Uh-oh.
What does that mean?
That means Mr. Jamie Hansen still has his computer volume on. Hey, Tim, what do you need? Tim Joyner just said he needed something. Tim, I'm at the studio if you need me, man. I'm doing the show with Joy, but you can come on if you want. Tim's cool like that. And plus, he's another poet, so it just kind of works.
Yeah, Tim is awesome. He's given me a lot of good advice over the years.
Cool. So, where did you grow up?
I was born in St. Croix, Virgin Islands, and I grew up in the Bronx, New York.
Okay.
From when I was 7.
So, how was it going from the Bronx, New York, to Wilmington, North Carolina, or this North Carolina in general?
Oh, geez. Well, first it was Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, I went from New York to Texas back to St. Croix, and then I came here. It's interesting.
Okay.
is different. New York is definitely a whole different pace from St. Croix. And Wilmington is kind of like in the middle for me.
So, what is St. Croix like? How do people treat them? Well, so is there a racial division in St. Croix as well?
What?
Well, I don't know. That's why I've never been.
What? What? Let me
Okay,
tell you.
this is about to
Okay.
get good. I can tell it. Tell us a story.
Okay, so I grew up, if you can't tell, I'm mixed. You know, my daddy is black, my mom is Puerto Rican, Danish, a few other, yeah. I'm cornucopia. I am the melting pot. I have slave owners and slaves on each side of my family. So, my daddy, he was a part of the Black Panthers. So, he was the part that really, really hated white people.
Okay.
Straight up. I mean, cracker this, cracker that. Growing up, that's all I heard. And he mistrusted white people. Even to this day, he's grown a lot, but he still doesn't have trust for white people. It's still a very negative stigma in his mind associated with white people, and that's understandable in the generation that he grew up in. So I heard a lot of that talk. I've heard talk against white people. I've heard, talk against black people, both sides. So it was very strange growing up. Kind of schizophrenic, like you hear, like you don't know what you are. Yeah. You're disliked by your own family because of the lightness of your skin. It's not my fault. I'm light skinned. Sorry, family. But you're gonna hate me because of that. That's cool. So hate for the color of your skin takes on many forms. Can come from anywhere. But yeah, so I had a tough time figuring out how I was going to deal with the race issue. And then when I came to New York when I was 7, I was ostracized so badly. I was made fun of so badly because of the way I spoke. So I got it from my skin color. I got it for the way I talked because I had a West Indian accent. So I'm like, can I win? So I had a lot of identity struggles growing up.
So, how did you deal with those identity struggles?
I turned inward. I became very shy. I didn't talk in front of more than like 2 or 3 people. All the way through high school, if I had to give a speech in front of the class, I couldn't do it. I would go up there, open my mouth, and just shut down and start crying.
So, how did you bridge that you to the you are now? Yes, you may still get stage fright, but when the mic is on, the light is on, and it's time, you're fearless.
That's liberty.
So
That's liberty.
So you're saying you're schizophrenic?
No, I'm saying that I have multiple personas.
Okay, not personalities.
Personas that take charge when they need to.
Okay.
I could be anybody you want.
Okay. So an actress.
There you go.
The chameleon.
But yeah, it's spoken word. I found my voice and the power of my voice through spoken word. But that's just in public. Now, in just regular life, this shy joy, if I saw somebody being bullied or something that wasn't right, I spoke up.
Yeah.
I spoke up loudly. I remember one time in particular, I don't know if this was good or bad, but the outcome was good. But a friend of mine was telling me, we were in like seventh or eighth grade, and she was telling me how uncomfortable she felt around a male teacher. And her and a couple other girls were telling me how, it just was weird, and the things he would do, like kind of slide his arm across to touch their breasts, and they just felt really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I knew that was wrong, but they were scared to say anything about it. Well, he walked in the classroom one day, and I just anger was burning inside me. And as he was walking out, I said, "You pervert!" Yelled it out in front of the whole class. Everybody looking at me like, oh my gosh. And of course, the teacher wanted to know what was going on. Well, I told her, they spoke to the girls, and eventually the teacher got dealt with. But, if you don't speak up, just like with what's going on now, the protest, I'm so proud of everybody getting involved. I am so proud. I can't be there at the protest, but man, I'm protesting with you right there. I'm doing everything I can, writing letters to the mayor, whatever you need me to do behind the scenes, I got you. I'm not afraid to speak up when I see wrong.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where it's coming from or what it is. If wrong is wrong. And anybody trying to be a bully, I feel sorry for you. I do.
So How do you think the protests are going to change? Not the shape or the color of the protest. I mean the what effect are they going to have? Do you think we're actually going to have effect this time? Because in the past, the thing I've noticed the most is this is keeps on going. Well, we're day 11 in Wilmington protests right now,
Yeah.
something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the other protests have lasted a day, maybe two, and I don't think we ever got real change because people was like, oh no, I gotta go back to work. But now we're actually sticking with this thing,
Yes, we
and
are.
it's I don't think we're gonna stop until change actually happens. But what change do you think is actually gonna happen?
Um, well, number one, a lot of people have the time to do the work.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people, they've dedicated themselves that even if something else was going on, they're going to stick with it. They're going to do the work. And the people that I see involved with this protest and who want change is for the long run. The curfew has been lifted. The leadership, Lily and Tim and everybody involved with leading these protests, they've shown that they have sense.
Yeah.
They've shown that they have leadership and the organizational skills. I'm so proud of them. I just can't even. But yeah, so
Well, the curfew's been lifted because Wilmington realized we're not going to destroy things.
Mm-hmm.
We want change.
Yeah.
We're not going to put up with this crap anymore.
Yeah.
We're not going to destroy anything because we know that's going to be detrimental.
Mm-hmm.
It's only going to make you look like you won the argument.
Right.
No, we're going to do this the right way.
Exactly.
And we're going to keep on doing this until you change because we're sick of it. We're not going to let you get away with it anymore.
And that's why what happened on the 31st, that didn't have any organization.
Mm-hmm.
No one was leading that. But look who came in and made sure that would never happen again.
Yep.
So that's proof positive that we have sense. People here, citizens of Wilmington, we know what we want and we will fight to get it. And that's exactly what's happening. So Citizens Review Board, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I feel it. It's going to happen because the right people are behind pushing for it.
So, okay. I love this stuff. You know me, I'm a big picture kind of guy. How do we make that citizen review board where people don't fall into the employee mentality and only start going there to collect a paycheck? Because look at any other job. You know, you go and you start at the job and then you get happy with that paycheck and then you fall in that slump of I'm only an employee. How do we prevent that? Because I've been racking my brain over this and I can't figure it out. Like, or how do you keep everybody out of the good old boy network? So is it like you pull in people from like maybe a pool of 50 people with different backgrounds and different vested interests, and then it's like like a law of averages type thing, and then how do we keep people? Maybe they can only be on the board for 6 months or something. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how because other than that, we're going to be another internal affairs, and internal affairs isn't doing their job. It's somebody who's already done 3 things wrong is still on the streets working for us.
Being vigilant, keeping an eye on each other, holding each other accountable. And I don't think that's such a bad idea, having maybe not 6 months, but maybe a year term, and kind of like anything that we vote for.
Yeah.
You know, if people see that, you know what, this particular person here, I don't think they should be on that review board anymore. And guess what? Replace them.
Okay.
It's just about using your voice.
So you're thinking go back to our old school mentality where it takes the village to raise the child, pretty much.
I have seen that works.
Okay.
I have seen it. I've learned. I'm in the progress of learning. So yeah, I believe that can work.
Okay.
We just have to be, again, vigilant. Keep your eyes open and ears open, and don't let yourself be blinded because this person is my friend or this person is my family member. No, again, certain things you need to cut off when you see it going wrong.
Sure.
And
That takes a really strong person.
it does. And you have to use your voice. You can't be scared.
Yeah.
If there are repercussions, deal with it. That's all.
So how do you feel about defunding the police? This conversation is coming up a lot.
Yes. And I actually had to figure out what that meant. You know, because you want to get rid of the police. Okay, so if you take away money from them, how are they going to do what they're supposed to do? But then I learned that, are they doing what they were meant to do anyway?
Okay, so that gets into my whole conversation about employee mentality.
Mm-hmm.
When you own your own company like I do, I work 7 days a week. I'm here probably 14 hours a day. But if I don't work, it doesn't get done. If it doesn't get done, I don't collect a paycheck. If I don't collect a paycheck, my son doesn't get what he needs, and then I'm a bad dad. Okay. When you're an employee, you're guaranteed 40 hours a week. You're doing this, you're that. And then sometimes you just don't care that much anymore. You're there just literally watching the time, collecting a check.
Right. You do the bare minimum. Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have that in every job. You're gonna have the same thing in the police department, fire department, whatever else. So I have a real problem with defunding the police, but I do think a major change has to happen, because if we have a society without consequence, it's gonna go weird really fast.
It's not about not having consequence. It's about what is the money being spent on.
We could say the same thing about the military, and we're both in the military.
Right. And that's a whole nother discussion. Where is the money going when, but for the police, why spend X amount of money on packing up a warehouse full of tear gas and rubber bullets and riot gear and stuff, instead of spending that money, that same, or even a portion of that money to stop the things that would cause the issues where you would need that gear? Okay, so are we really in touch with the community? Why are people in the very communities that they serve, why are they afraid of the cops? Why are people not willing to call and report things? Because they're more scared of the cops than they are the people who did something wrong. That's not right. So use it on community programs to prevent issues that will require them to need the riot gear and the tear gas and all that other stuff.
So I'm to the same train of thought as you are. I think there should be two branches of the police department. You should have the general police department that don't carry guns. They go out and they actually police stuff. They're there to help. Exactly. Do what what everybody thinks a police officer should be. Then if the stuff gets hairy, we have a second, kind of like our Delta Force, right? So we have our normal, or you got your Green Berets. So when stuff gets really crazy,
Ranger.
we send them on over. Well, Rangers is a pretty big battalion. So, I mean.
I love my Rangers.
Why do you love your Rangers?
They're hardcore. Are you kidding me?
No, that's why I'm picking on you.
Oh, gosh. Rangers are hardcore. Everybody wants to talk about the Green Berets and all that stuff. Rangers are hardcore.
Yeah, it's just because there's a lot less Green Berets than there are Rangers. It's more select.
Yeah, but they're still hardcore.
Oh, I know.
They're my heroes.
Yeah, I was a Pogue, so I don't count. I just fixed telephones. But so I'm a firm believer there should be two police departments. So you have your general one that actually does all the policing, make sure everyone's taken care of. They are peace officers, and then when things get nasty, you basically have your SWAT, and they go handle the other stuff. So if there's an armed robbery, you don't send the other one because he doesn't have a gun anyways. But I also believe that cops should be held accountable to the same laws that they're enforcing to protect.
Absolutely.
So if they're at a stoplight and they're not in pursuit, they can't just turn their lights on to go through the light. So in Japan, you can't do that. In Japan, when there's a police chase, they have to stop at the red light. They're not above the law. They can't speed. They're not above the law. You cannot enforce something that you don't follow yourself.
Because you're citizens first.
Yeah.
I understand that.
And I think it's just a mentality thing. Is once we can get past that mentality, like just because you're a police officer doesn't mean you're automatically right. You have to, I really think they need to go back to having 2 officers in every patrol car, not just 1.
And then that goes back to the recruits. Who wants to be a police officer?
Yeah. To be honest, when I was a kid, I wanted to be one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it was a different world, and I still saw all the good in it, and I saw that, but there was always corruption. And
always.
Yeah, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I mean, it's the truth.
That's why you got to stay humble. You got to remember who you are and what you're working for.
Yeah. So if you could change one thing about the police department. So say you're the mayor, right? Okay. You know what your budget is. You know what you have to do to protect your community. What type of things would you put in place or to remanipulate funds or remanipulate staff to actually start coming up with these changes? And I know this is a big question for a last minute question.
No, it's okay. First thing I think of is that community review board. That would be a priority. Second thing is part of that would be how to get officers into the community and even to recruit people from that community, faces that that community would trust. And that's how you build trust within the department, within the police itself.
So you're thinking kind of like a Hearts and Mind campaign like we do in the military?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely making a positive presence in the community. And regardless of what's happening in other states or other cities, we will have a way of how we're operating here. And if I was married in my city, and then we'll go with that.
Okay.
We be the example.
So how do you do that?
Like you said, the money.
Okay.
You have to have the money, and then you have to get people involved who want to make that change. Even if you have to have officers just volunteer. Say, yeah, I want to be in this committee that reaches out to the community and does programs for not just for kids, but like the young males, the ones who are getting arrested, who are, getting looked at crazy, getting stopped just because they look.
Yeah, profiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So working with people like that to get more of an understanding between who the police are and who is representing the community.
All right, so this might be a tough question, but have you ever been profiled by the police?
Based
Not
on,
necessarily here.
based on the car I was driving, yes.
What car were you driving?
It was a blacked out 2001 Honda Accord Coupe.
Okay.
Blackout lights on the front, 4% tint. You couldn't see. You couldn't see in. Yeah, and I was.
You were
going-
driving the Batmobile?
I love Batman. So yeah. I was driving from Texas through Louisiana, and I wasn't speeding, wasn't doing anything, and a trooper stopped me, and he was a little surprised to see me driving it. And I was like, why'd you stop me? What's going on? He's like, your windows are a little dark. I don't believe that, it's the law here. I'm like, yeah, but I'm from Texas. My plates are registered in Texas. So why are you stopping me in Louisiana? Let me go.
Yeah.
He just wanted to see who was driving that and if he had a reason to.
If you had to escalate.
There you go.
Yeah. Because preconceived notions. Yeah. It's a weird word, the world we live in now. But I think it's slowly getting better because I think our children aren't going to have to deal with it as much as we had to. Everybody knows I have a 16-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
And he's biracial. And all this stuff's really been hitting me lately is like, I'm going to have to live, my son has to live in the same world I live in, but he's going to be treated differently than I'm treated. And that really hit me like a ton of bricks when he was about 8. But now that he's driving, it's even more prevalent.
Man.
Like, I almost wanted to write a letter like, hey, if Brandon, if you ever get stopped, give them this. And I'm like, why should I even have to write that letter? Why should that even be a thought in my head? What is that letter going to do? Whereas would somebody even read it in the first place?
Right.
And then I was like, what's going on in my head that makes me think that I can just jump on the phone with this and just clear this up? So that really got me thinking like, oh crap, I need to work on me too. So these are just weird things I've been thinking about lately.
It is. It's definitely a concern now that I'm a mom. Before I was living my life based on my experiences, and that's the thing that people have to think about too, and why such racism exists, is where we're coming from. What are our personal experiences growing up? Now, for me, like I said, I had racism on both sides of my family. I heard the cracker, I heard the N-word. I can't stand that word. I can't even bring myself to say it unless I really
Crackers?
have to.
They're good in soup.
You know what I'm saying.
I know. I try to lighten the mood.
No, I know. And that's why I smile so much. I can't help it. Even when I'm angry, I smile. I will. Let me stop. I'm gonna behave.
But you were saying you had it had it on both sides.
Yes. So I could have turned out to be extremely, extremely racist against one or the other,
Or both.
Or both. But I remember growing up very cautious about white people because of what I did hear from my father's side. But then when I went to high school, I went to a magnet school in the middle of New York City in Brooklyn. Shout out to Brooklyn Tech. So that drew I had friends who were Polish, I had a Muslim friend from Egypt who was friends with a Jewish guy whose family is from Israel. We had a Chinese, Venezuelan, Puerto Rican. Like we were all like, I call it the United Nations of friends.
Yeah.
So that really opened my eyes. So my whole high school experience, I didn't see color. I didn't see you as this. I didn't see you as, oh, that's my white friend. That's, no, we were just cool.
Yeah.
And so when I got to college, it was more, actually, yeah, it wasn't, it was a little more segregated. You could tell that people kind of stuck to their own kind. But it didn't affect me. I dated white guys, that was my thing. Still is my thing.
It's good to be Jamie.
Oh gosh, I got a story about that too.
All right, fire away.
But for me, whatever it was, my brain, like I don't know if it was a conscious choice to not hate because of what you look like. My thing is, if I don't like you, I don't like you. It's because you did something. You did something to me personally or to maybe someone close to me, but there's qualities about you that I don't like.
Yeah.
And that's how I see it. But now, like with everything that's going on, and you see it, you can't hide from it. Even if you wanted to unsee the things that we've seen lately, you can't. And so when I saw that video of George Floyd getting killed, like it messed me up. It affected me on a whole other level that I didn't even know I could get to. And I started thinking about my son. Mm-hmm. What kind of world did I bring this boy into? How am I going to teach him about racism and how to operate within that, but also not to go to either extreme, not to hate these kind of people, or not to surrender to it. I want him to be able to stand up for himself confidently, regardless of what the situation is. But I don't want him getting shot.
No, so I think we're actually at a good time in our life. Okay, we've always had the hush conversation about racism, and for basically as long as the United States has been around, right? But we're all finally sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
We're all finally ready as a United States to address this.
I love it.
And we could never change or never fix anything until we got to that point. There had to come that catalyst that finally created the chemical reaction, thus changing the state of matter we're in.
Mm-hmm.
This, this was the catalyst. We're not going to take it anymore.
This is the breaking point.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you're trying to hide from it, if you don't want to admit to it, you can't. You are forced to be in it.
Yeah.
And so much stuff is coming out. Just the other day, this past Sunday, at my community pool, there was a black guy. It's mostly white people that live there, but we lived there too. I lived there. Yeah. But there was a black guy at the pool, and one of the neighbors, he came out from his apartment, started yelling at this guy. No visitors allowed. We can't have guests. You need to get out. Mm-hmm. So for about 30 minutes, this guy was out there yelling mm-hmm. and cursing mm-hmm. at the black guy to get out of the pool area. Mm-hmm. He brought a stick with him and was acting like a lunatic. Mm-hmm. And telling the other neighbor, you don't want guests. So he was a guest just because he was black.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, until he shows him, no, fool.
And this is literally like in my backyard.
Yeah.
This was one building behind where I live.
Yeah.
So, and I walk around my neighborhood all the time with my son. And in the article, in the Encore magazine article, I mentioned how like I'm thinking twice now about walking through other neighborhoods with my son. Now, do I have to think twice about walking around my own neighborhood?
You shouldn't have to.
I shouldn't have to.
The reality of what we're in right now. Yeah.
Reality.
But it's gonna probably have to get worse before it gets better.
And that's how change happens.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's how change happens.
But the thing is, we're gonna start identifying the people that think that way.
And it's happening.
Yeah. We know to avoid them. We know how to deal with them. Anger on anger is never going to work. Yeah, you have two forces going into each other, and that's never going to be a solution. Mm-mm. But avoid them. Don't patronize them. Don't do whatever you got to do. But that mentality will sooner or later die out. It has to. It cannot survive. It's basically genetics on a social level.
It'll happen with the right people leading this movement, like they have been. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the second wave, because they're going to need a rest.
Yeah.
They're going to need a rest. So they need the support from people who are just as strong as they are.
Oh, sorry. That was somebody sending me a message about the
Okay.
podcast. Let me see what they
Okay.
said. Let's see.
While you're doing that, I just want to say that, you know, we're thinking in terms of black and white, but you know what? Don't assume that this Latino person over here, don't think that they don't think of you as an N-word too.
Yeah.
I've heard Hispanic people use that derogatory term against people like me. Ain't no thing. I know racism is not colorblind. It's racism for a reason. It doesn't. It's not a white disease.
No. So, Julius James just hit my inbox. He says, "I love your podcast. I love your channel and the content that you're putting out. What are the various topics your channel covers?" The channel is going to cover everything. It's going to be conversations basically about growth, personal growth, people's business growth. It's going to be everything. But right now, in the forefront is going to be how we deal with the race stuff. And we're going to go on other tangents. We're going to talk about life, and we're going to have fun, and we're going to try to make it interesting, and we're going to try to put a positive point of view on it. But at the end of the day, right now, this is the most important thing I can talk about. So if I get a guest who doesn't want to talk about it, we'll talk about something else. But I'm going to try to put it in at least for a good long while, because this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I have 2 biracial kids. So this is something very near and dear to me. I cannot tell you what it feels like to be black because I've never been black. I can tell you what it's like to be a dad. I can tell you what it's like to make a mistake because I got in trouble 20 years ago. I can tell you a lot of different things. I can tell you about how it was being in the military. I can tell you how it is to be judged by a past mistake. I can tell you all that, but I can't tell you this other stuff. So a lot of these conversations are actually for me, so I can understand, so I can have better conversations with my son. Because if you've never lived it, you should at least be open to try to understand it, so I can help educate him, because I have to make him a stronger man to deal with this stuff himself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the answer to that question.
I hear you.
Cool.
Can I tell you about a situation?
Tell me about a situation.
I told you I date anybody who's interesting to me. It doesn't matter what they look like. So in college, I had a white boyfriend. He was half Italian, half German, beautiful green eyes, right? Mm-hmm. Cool. Didn't have a problem with me being black, obviously. But I remember he had to have a conversation with his parents and his sister when we were getting serious, and let them know that I'm dating a black girl. His grandparents, now, that had to be kept hush-hush. They couldn't know that I was his girlfriend. And his parents were cool and his sister were cool, but you could tell they weren't happy with that, with our relationship. But I remember one time his family was having a birthday get together, and for whatever reason, this dude wanted me there. Mm-hmm. And I remember we were driving in the car, and I had to make sure that I didn't do anything to show that we were close like that. I was just his friend.
Okay.
That was lonely, he just wanted he wanted me to just bring me.
You don't bring a friend to a family barbecue. There's always something more going on.
So yeah, that had to be kept hidden from his grandparents, because he didn't want the repercussions from them, knowing that he had a black girlfriend. But I wasn't just black. I was the light-skinned black girl with long hair. So I wasn't that kind of black.
What? Okay, so we're gonna go into colorism then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I was too young and too inexperienced to realize the depth of what all that meant. So I just went along with it. But looking back, it's like, wow, why did I even pursue that? Why would I even, if things really did get serious with us and, we're talking marriage, why would I even want to be in that situation?
So my dad's a racist. Okay. My mom's not. I didn't know my dad was a racist because I grew up in North Dakota, 99.99% white. Okay, it's changed since then, but back when I was a kid, that's what it was. Um, you can't hold somebody responsible for their family.
Mm-hmm.
Each person is an individual, and if that person really loved you and you really love them, but the problem I have is when he says you can't do a certain thing around this family member. I told my family, if she's not good enough for you, I'm not good enough for you, because this is who I put a ring on. And if you can't handle it, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to stand my ground. If I love deep. I love hard. I love strong.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody and nothing's going to come in between it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he was trying to walk that line, have what he wanted, but, keep it away from the family. But
Anytime you
you
walk a
can't.
line, you have to settle. And if you have to settle, something's always going to break and it's never going to last.
Mm-hmm.
All or nothing.
Yeah, so that's one of the stories I have.
Okay. So have you had to deal with colorism at all? Because I've seen a lot of weird conversations. So I've seen people that are supposed to be leaders, right? Meet with other people that are supposed to be leaders. And then they have colorism jokes. I'm like, guys, that's racism. But nobody ever calls anybody on it.
Yeah, like I said, within my own family, I don't talk to half from my family, like my cousins and my aunt, because of that very issue. Like I said, my mom is Puerto Rican. She's as light skinned as you. She's bright. We call her. I don't know if this is derogatory term.
This little light of mine.
But in St. Croix, we say you're clear skin.
Okay.
You're white. You're clear skin. So my mom, she's clear skin, and
Do you mean like opaque?
she's clear.
Okay.
she look like you. My dad is dark, very very dark. But so my family on my dad's side, they're all dark skinned. And I remember, like, they would torture me. They would do stuff. Like, I remember I had a brand new Barbie doll. And one day I came and found, like, somebody had cut the hair off. And it was my cousins. They were terrorizing me. Like, they didn't, oh, Lord, I'm about to get emotional.
Get emotional, girl. I got toilet
This
paper.
stuff hurts.
But
Make sure it's the soft kind.
It is. I'll go get it. So, but the thing is, we need to have these hurtful conversations and these hurtful experiences so people can understand. Until they see the actual effect it's causing on people, they're not going to change.
Yeah. They wouldn't let me in the house, like, when they were going to bed and my father was late, because it was just like a house on top of the hill, and like all the kids or whatever, we were there and would play outside during the day. But when it was time to go in and have dinner and go to sleep, me and my dad, we lived literally in a shack right outside their house.
Keep on going. I'm coming.
It was that galvanized sheeting, like the tin.
Like I said.
Yeah, like this. Those were our walls on 3 sides. And we had a curtain for the door. It used to be like an old tool shed. They had room in the house that we could have slept, but they had us out there. And they would lock me out the house even though it was pitch black outside. And I had to wait outside until my father got home. And I was like 4 or 5 years old. So, and that was because they didn't like my father. They didn't like me because I was clear skin. I was bright. So yeah, I had long hair. They didn't. So it was a lot of stuff like that. So all of that
To your own
made
family
me-
member.
Oh yeah, my own family. And to this day, I don't talk to them. I don't even know their names. Like, I just don't deal with them. But so that's why I speak out, because I know how that feels. Even though I'm a quiet person, if I feel that somebody's being wronged for some stupid reason, I speak up, and I don't care how I have to answer for it. If I'm calling out a wrong, it's because it's wrong and I feel strongly about it. But I'm not going to let you talk down to me because of how young I look. I'm not going to let you talk down to me because I'm a woman. I'm not going to let you talk down to me because I'm black. You got another thing coming. that's just how it is. And people have had to learn the hard way. That sometimes these tears, these tears don't mean, I'm weak. These tears just like, like she said the other day, sometimes when we cry, it's because we're angry that we can't just choke you.
Yeah.
That we can't do the things that we see us doing up here. So yeah, it's a lot of hurtful stuff, but it's made me the woman that I am. And some people, they call me queen, but you know what? I'm a goddess, Jamie. I rise above. And no matter what people come to me with, I don't care what prejudice or whatever it is, when I open my mouth, I know I'm representing me, but I'm representing so much more. So when I go out and the way I act, I know I'm representing so much more just based on the way I look. This head wrap represents something more than just me, than a style that I like to wear. It says a lot to people. And I try to be dignified. I don't let my past experiences really lead me. I try to see every experience as new and different. That's why, like, with racism, it doesn't matter about the individual. You're already judged because of the way you look, because of the way, you look, and then the way you dress. Like, oh, you're a different type of black guy because you wear a suit. Mm-hmm. No, I'm just a guy who likes wearing suits, I'm really not that different from the guy that, whatever, dresses a little differently. T-shirt and jeans, whatever. That says nothing about really how smart I am. It doesn't. Because a lot of people will look at me and just see like this young kid, but I have a master's degree. Yeah. I've been a high school teacher. I'm a reading specialist.
Army officer.
Mom.
All
of that. I am a goddess.
You're a powerhouse.
And it takes strength to be that way. And that's why, like, I see Lily and I see Tim, and I'm like, I'm right there with them. Like, that's spirits like that. Like, we feel it. And I'm just so, so proud. I'm so proud of everything that they're doing. All these people that's working for change and mean it. Yeah. It's just not a cute thing to put on
it's not a talking
their feed.
Point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look what you did.
I done made her cry. And I didn't even dance with her because I step on toes because I have no rhythm. Sorry.
I've been through some stuff. I don't talk a lot about it, but I've been through some stuff, and yeah, I won't stand for no nonsense.
You don't need to stand for nonsense.
Mm-mm.
Just keep growing, keep being awesome, keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
You're a force of nature.
That I am.
Yeah.
That I am.
So I think this is probably going to conclude the interview. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Any shout outs you want to do for social media, about your movie projects or anything else?
Yeah, check out the Charlotte Black Film Festival that's going on. My short film, Judging Eyes, will be shown on Monday, the 15th. And if you go on my page, I have a discount code for you.
I love discount codes.
Yeah, it's a good discount too. But yeah, just be on the lookout for future film projects and, of course, some more poetry in the works. So, yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'm Jamie. This is Joy. This has been We Have to Change Together. I always have to look at the sign because I've done so many shows. I keep on forgetting which one I'm actually working on. I apologize, y'all. I'm a work in progress. Other than that, we love you. We'll see you soon, and we'll be live again tomorrow. Love you.